I'm a breathwork teacher, and I'm sure you've been doing the breathing for a long time, but there are some few things that can be useful to learn about breath and how it can be used for as a tool for a way to improve your ability to stay calm, ability to influence the state of your mind and body. Sorry, I'll turn it down a little bit. So, the name of the session is The Art of Calm. And I think breathing is one of those tools that is quite effective at helping you to learn a skill of calming yourself down when it's the most useful, right? And breathwork is a deceptively simple use of the breathing and an effective tool to regulate your state of being, your state of arousal. And I'm sure many of you have been in a situation where late at night you're trying to fall asleep, but it's just not working. And there's nothing you can do. And the more you think, the more you try to think yourself out of that state, the more you are staying awake, the more you're alert and not falling asleep at all. And so essentially, using the mind to calm down the mind is not effective. And I think the solution for that, a way to calm down the mind, is not trying to think about calming yourself down, but actually using the breath to regulate your nervous system so you can access more of a calm state where you are using the breath to calm the mind. And it all pivots around the same principle you probably already heard about or read about, or maybe even today someone spoke about, this idea between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. How many of you heard of this split? Most of us, right? This idea of looking at our autonomous nervous system, looking at it in this binary sense where there's one side that is sympathetic activation, fight or flight, and other side is this rest and digest parasympathetic state. And our autonomous nervous system governs all functions within our body. Our breathing, our heart rate, our digestion, everything is regulated by this autonomous nervous system. And it has two states, right? Two sides to it. And that's a really simplistic way of looking at it, but for purposes of this discussion, it's really useful as a guiding rule, as a tool to have in terms of having this mental model of regulating your state by using the breath. And when we are stressed or alert or in this aroused state, our heart rate is accelerated, our breathing is accelerated, our blood flow is reverted from our internal organs to our muscles. We have increased cortisol levels, adrenaline levels, so we are ready to fight or flight or be in action mode, right? And when, let's say, external environment changes and we enter more of this parasympathetic state, that's when our heart rate slows down, our breathing slows down, our digestion increases, our pupils constrict, we have more or less cortisol or adrenaline in our system. And those shifts are usually governed by environmental factors or even our narrative that we're telling ourselves in our mind, right? And it's difficult when someone tells you, relax, right? It's not just going to happen, hey, relax. But these systems that I've described, the heart rate, the digestion, the breathing, as they're regulated by the nervous system, right? All of them are autonomous and they happen by themselves, right? We don't need to think about beating our heart. We don't need to think about digesting our food. And we also don't need to think about our breathing most of the time. But breathing is that link that can be actively used to influence. We can actively change how we breathe, but we cannot change how our heart rate works, right? So here lies this remote control for our nervous system, which is the breathing. So if we accelerate our breath, if we mimic the breathing of alert, stressed state, we will steer ourselves into this state of alertness and vigilance, right? And when we mimic the breathing of relaxed, calm state, we will again shift our nervous system into this calmer state. And with that, our heart rate will slow down. All those things will follow. So hence the breathing that is a tool to go from one side to another, from sympathetic to parasympathetic. And probably one of the simplest or easiest breathing techniques that I have found, and it's quite effective, is a physiological sigh. Have you heard of it before? Anyone? A couple of people. So what is it's quite simple. So it is essentially sighing, or you leveraging the sighing response of our body. So it's a long inhale in through the nose and a relaxed passive sigh out through the mouth. So how I like to present this is you take a long inhale through the nose, second sip of air, and so again this long inhale. And again, this is something you can do in the moments of stress, or you're in a meeting, or you're about to respond to an email with all capitals. You can do this. 1. And then maybe not do the capitals on the email, or just respond instead of reacting, right? So that's the simplicity of using your breath, not necessarily telling yourself, hey, I just need to relax right now, but actually in those moments having these little practical levers that can be used to regulate the state of the nervous system. And physiological sigh is exactly that, which is a really useful tool. And when we do the breathwork session, we'll be using another similar technique, which on paper looks the same, double inhale and exhale. So it's, so if you try this now, so if you do this rapidly, this will stimulate your nervous system. So technically the same pattern on paper can create a different response. The difference is that with physiological sigh, we're focusing on prolonged relaxed exhalation, which is the sighing response. And with the second one, with this double inhale, we're focusing on inhalations that are sharper. So again, inhalations are stimulating this sympathetic response. So if you're feeling lethargic, or you're going into a meeting and you need to be focused, or you have to do a presentation, you can do some of these more stimulating techniques to wake yourself up, to be in this state of alertness, right? So this is a tool to regulate in a very effective way. Instead of just trying to think yourself out of certain states, you can use your breath to regulate the nervous system that influences other states of the body. And it's interesting with this physiological sigh that it's been found to be more effective than box breathing, which is you've probably heard of this as well, this really simple, easy technique where you inhale for 4, hold breath for 4, exhale for 4, and again hold. And you go around the box or square. This physiological sighing combined continuously was more effective at regulating the state of the nervous system in this particular study, and it had also lasting effects outside of just immediate environment of the session. So this is a very simple and easy technique that you can take away and implement in your day-to-day life when you need a certain way to downregulate when the life presents its challenges, right? So that's kind of understanding the breathing and these simple things. And so that's talking about the nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic, but also mechanically how we use our breathing muscles. And I'm sure all of you have heard about the diaphragm and how important diaphragmatic breathing is. And there's one simple test I usually like to do, or it's kind of a test, but also a demonstration of how different parts of our body breathe. So if you close your eyes and put your hands over your shoulders like this, let your arms rest on your chest. You can close your eyes. Lengthen the spine a little taller so you are still relatively tall. And take a few deep breaths, breathing in and out through the nose. In and out. In and out. And as you do this, notice what sort of movement are you experiencing as you do this? Do you feel the movement is up and down, vertical? Or the movement is more horizontal, expanding forward, out to the sides, to the back. Nice. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, lower your hands. And this is quite a simple way to notice the movement of your breathing muscles, essentially, right? And if you're experiencing more of a vertical movement where you move up and down, that might be indication that you're using your intercostal muscles between your ribs, and your shoulders more to breathe and engage the upper part of your torso to breathe. And if you feel more of expansion horizontally out to the sides or forward, horizontal plane, that's indication that you're probably breathing more with your diaphragm and engaging the diaphragm. And why it's important, because diaphragm is primary breathing muscle that actually, if you breathe through diaphragm, by using the diaphragm, you're more likely to be in a relaxed state. Your breathing will be slower, because that's a primary breathing muscle. It consumes less energy to breathe in a way. It's also how you notice small babies or your pets at home breathe with relaxed, soft bellies. None of them are trying to, flex their abs and suck in their bellies to appear thinner, right? So this relaxed, soft belly breathing is a way how the diaphragm engages itself. And essentially, because we spend so much time at a desk, we kind of stop breathing this way. And the problem becomes when we start engaging more of upper chest intercostal breathing, chances are we'll be breathing more shallowly. So the breaths aren't going to be as deep. They'll be consuming more energy. And also, you can think of this breathing as a reserve in some way for extreme situations. Once you cannot draw enough air through your abdomen and with your diaphragm, this is an extra reserve that comes in when you need to run, when you need to fight or flight. And that also triggers this sympathetic response, this stimulation of the nervous system. So if you constantly are spending the time breathing in upper chest and stimulating your nervous system and breathing less of a volume of air, you are overstimulating yourself, just in a subtle way, right? But even if you are able to retrain yourself to breathe diaphragmatically at rest in a really slow way, you reduce your arousal by 1 or 2%, and over the long period of time, that's a substantial decrease of your nervous system arousal that keeps you calmer, more relaxed, without you needing to think about it. I need to relax right now. But just by default, your mechanical patterns of how the breath functions are more optimal, and they put you in the state of more relaxation. And to try this, there's a really simple exercise I found, and I think it demonstrates quite well. So to do that, I'd like you to lay down on your mat. Lay down facing forward. So lay down like this on your belly. And place your hands underneath your forehead. And slide your elbows out in front of you. And put your head down on your arms. And as you settle in, just notice the way you breathe. Let your head rest down. And as you're breathing this way, notice the movement of the breath. Notice where you feel the expansion and contraction. And imagine you have a balloon in your belly that expands as you breathe in and contracts as you breathe out. And notice that the inhale is active. It requires some muscular effort to breathe in. And notice that exhale can be completely passive and easy. And again, the belly expands, pressing the belly button against the floor. And as you breathe out, everything contracts and escapes. Active inhale, and passive exhale. Just imagine you have a balloon behind your belly button. As you breathe in, your lower back lifts up. And as you breathe out, everything simply melts away. And notice the exhale. How exhale can be passive release and sense of letting go. And now turn around and lay down on your back. So if you lay down on your back, bend your knees and place the soles of the feet on the floor. One hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. Let the elbows rest down on the floor. And again, principle stays the same as you breathe in. The balloon in your belly expands. And as you breathe out, the air passively escapes. Long breath in and relaxed breath out. And again, notice active expansion and passive contraction. And as we change these positions of the body, as we switch from one side to the back, it might be slightly different to be aware of this expansion and contraction. But all I want you to do is just to stay with that sensation. Stay with a long inhale. Stay with the passive exhale. And again, you're trying to find a sense of softening and relaxation. Sense of release. And now take a moment to slowly sit up. And as you sit upright on your mat, place one hand on your belly, one hand on the chest. And again, you can close your eyes. And direct your breaths lower and deeper in your belly. Slow, steady inhale. An easy, passive exhale. And again, as we're switching these positions, as we're changing from laying down on our front, laying down on our back, sitting upright, it might be slightly more difficult to become aware of this expansion of the abdomen. But all you do is just maintain this intention to direct it lower and deeper. And when you're ready, you can slowly stand up. And as you stand up, place one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. And again, principle stays the same. You're expanding your abdomen. Notice the active inhale and passive exhale. And as you're standing upright, your muscles around your core have to be engaged to maintain the upright position. So maybe the expansion is not going to be as pronounced as earlier. But you can still maintain the intention to breathe lower into your belly. Stay with those breaths. And now next stage, you can just take a walk around the space. So still maintaining your hands on your chest and on your belly, and just walk around the area. You can get off your mat, you can go around the space. And again, this might be slightly more challenging than laying down on your front, laying down on your back. Even more challenging than sitting upright. But all you can do is maintain the focus and intention to breathe that way. And when you're ready, you can slowly start making your way back to your mat. When you're ready, you can sit down. Nice. How did you find diaphragmatic breathing? Was it easy? Difficult? Easy to come up? Yeah? How did you find, was it easier laying down or standing up? Laying down. And on the front, on the back, which one was the easiest? On the back. All right, interesting. Because for a lot of people, I find that, you know, they enjoy this sense of laying down on your front. Because then you have the weight of the gravity pulling down and the weight of your body pulling down, and that gives some form of feedback from the ground beneath you. So you can feel the expansion. And this is a simple way how you can practice diaphragmatic breath. Essentially taking these 5 stages, laying down on your back, or laying down in front, on your back, sitting, standing, and walking. And you can literally set a timer for 2 minutes each. Total 5 positions, 10 minutes. And this is a really simple way how you can practice diaphragmatic breathing. One, because it's going to improve how you breathe day to day. But also it's a really nice and relaxing way how to wind down if you need to at night. Just focusing on diaphragmatic breaths. For me, that's oftentimes a tool I use after training at night. If I train late in the evening and I know I need to wind down and make sure I sleep well, I use diaphragmatic breaths to speed up the process of calming my nervous system. And that's the simplest, easiest way to approach it with some of the diaphragmatic breathing. And we'll have some time at the end for questions and answers, so we'll spend some time. If you have anything, just there's going to be time. Other thing, as part of the session description, is all about thermal practices, right? And using hot and cold. Obviously, there's a lot of information out there, and it's been really popular practice, as you all know. I find, to talk a little bit about cold exposure, I think it's a really useful way to, not to calm down, because cold exposure is not calming, obviously, but what you can do is use it as almost a training tool or training stimulus for what you have been practicing with your breath. The cold water is where you're stimulating or simulating that experience of stress, right? Because your body, when you go into cold water, is thinking you are in danger. So it is accelerating the breathing, the heart rate, all of those things are happening. And what you're trying to do is actually use the breathing to calm yourself down in that stressful situation. And I find it's probably, for me at least, it seems to be more mental tool for ability to regulate yourself effectively more than necessarily, for me at least, the physical benefits are not as important as what I can learn about myself and what I can practice through cold exposure for my mental states. And also there's links with cold exposure and how much it improves the mental health and increases norepinephrine and adrenaline in a way that helps to be more alert and have the energy that you need through the exposing yourself to the cold. But the cold is one of those things that it's a stress, right? And one way how to view stress is that it's bad and you have to avoid it at all costs. But the other way, and I find more functional ways, looking at stress as a useful stimulus, right? And differentiating between de-stress and eustress. Negative stress and positive stress. So negative stress, de-stress would be injury, lack of sleep, trauma, rumination, poor diet. Positive stress could be exercise, could be sauna, could be fasting, could be heat exposure. And this positive stress in the right amount, probably easiest example is exercise, leads to improvement in strength and longevity and all those positive benefits through exposing yourself to that stress. And cold can be the same thing. So if you are exhausted at work, you're tired, you feel like you're coming down with some cold, doing ice baths and cold exposure probably is not the right time. But when you're feeling well, when you're well rested, cold exposure can be one really beneficial thing for your mental health in general by increasing norepinephrine and adrenaline. But also it can be a really useful tool for you to find a way how you can tighten your focus and how you can use your breath and use these calming breathing techniques in those moments when you're exposed to stress, purely physiological stress of cold water. And probably finding a mindful approach to cold exposure and not necessarily focusing on time is the way to go about it. And how you control that response in a cold, right? We spoke about nervous system. And probably easiest to demonstrate is if you can try and find your pulse, 2 fingers just underneath the corner of your jawbone, and find the artery. You can close your eyes and just spend a moment finding your heartbeat. And when you have found it, just take some longer, slower inhales in through the nose, and long and slow exhales out through the nose as well. And again, long inhale and long exhale, breathing in and out through the nose. And as you breathe this way, just take a moment and notice if there's any shift in your heart rate. And in particular, is there any shift between the inhalation and exhalation from one phase to another? So notice if heart rate accelerates or slows down between the moments where you are in inhale or exhale. And so sometimes it's difficult to find it, but sometimes you can notice that when you are exhaling, the heart rate slows down slightly. And when you are inhaling, the heart rate accelerates just a touch. And that's called respiratory sinus arrhythmia, and that's totally natural response of your body because of change of volume in your chest. As you breathe in, there's more volume in your chest, so the arteries are opening up slightly more, so the heart needs to pump faster to get the same amount of blood, same volume of blood through bigger openings, right? And the same happens in reverse. So this is a simple hack almost in a way that focusing on exhalation and exhalation-focused breathing will help you wind down or calm yourself down. Purely physiologically, it will slow down your heart rate. And if you focus on inhale, you will accelerate the heart rate. So here lies the trick in some way, how to calm yourself down, especially in a cold exposure environment or ice bath or cold swim or cold shower for that matter, is focusing on long exhalations. So let's say, example, someone has a panic attack, right? They're hyperventilating. And if you tell them, just take a breath, there's nowhere else to take a breath in, right? But if you tell them to breathe out, breathing through a straw or prolonging the exhalation helps wind you down. And when you go in a cold exposure environment, cold water or cold shower, way to do that is actually prolonging the exhalations, focusing on long, prolonged exhale through the mouth as you would be breathing through a straw. And the same thing can be applied to stressful situation where you are We need to take a breath. Not necessarily just need to take a breath, but you need to exhale for a long time, right? And now you know the mechanism by which it is influencing your nervous system, right? So it's not just an advice from someone. It's actually, you can notice that it's doing something to your nervous system. So you have an actual tool that can help you regulate your physiology, your body. And with that, help you calm your mind as well. So that's how we use our breath to calm the mind. And that's how we use cold water as a way to intensify the training stimulus, so then we can apply these tools more effectively under stress, right? And to talk about the heat exposure, it's I find it's a slightly different way of managing the relaxation or finding the state of recovery and relaxation. It's not about the intensity of experience and going in and learning to relax. It's actually using, for me at least, it's personally sauna has been a really great tool for a way to disconnect from technology and a way to spend time socially with others. And sauna is also a form of stress that we expose ourselves to. The more we are thermally adapted, the fitter we are, the more used to sauna we are, the more we can stay there. So it follows the same principle as the cold, as exercise, eustress, de-stress. Positive stress in the right amount leads to adaptation, but also it can be too much, right? So you don't want to overdo it. But the magic of, for me at least, magic of sauna is that the fact that it's a social experience where you can be with others and you don't necessarily need to push it or for me at least, it's something that I try not to be too regimented about, right? And finding a way to enjoy it as a calming experience. But also remember that it will affect it's a still form of stress. So if you've been, overtrained or underslept, it also can be too much, right? It's also a form of stress. So still finding the right dose in the right amount for the heat exposure. Yeah, so that's me talking. I think it's enough of me talking. We'll have time for questions and answers at the end, but I would like to take you through a short breathing practice, breath work. We'll be laying down. You can lay down on your back. If you have any layers, a jumper or something, you can put it on to keep yourself warm. It's going to be a really short practice. 2 components. We'll be breathing and holding our breath. Really simple. So active breaths, breathing in and out with your mouth wide open. So it's active inhale, passive exhale. If it's too much to breathe through your mouth, you can switch to breathe in and out through the nose, right? And we'll be holding our breath. We're holding the breath on inhale, so fully inhale and hold. Hold. And also after exhale, which is just easy passive sigh, and you hold the breath after exhale. Essentially, that is it. So take a moment to close your eyes. Take a moment to notice your breaths. And notice your body resting down on the ground. Perhaps noticing your heels, your calves, your hips in contact with the ground. Notice your shoulders, your back, resting down heavy. Notice the weight of your arms, your forearms, being supported by the ground. Notice the weight of your head, being heavy. Allowing your neck to relax. Allowing your jaw to relax. And bring attention to your breathing. Notice as the breaths are flowing in and out through the nose. And direct your breaths just a little lower, just a little deeper into your belly. And if you need to, you can place one of your hands or both of your hands on your abdomen as a reminder to breathe from that space. And notice the active inhale as you breathe in. The breath expands. And as you breathe out, the air easily escapes. And now open your jaw wide open, move it around, have a yawn if you would like to. And with jaw wide open, we'll start with deep breaths. In and out. In and out. In and out. Active inhale. Passive exhale. In and out. Active inhalation and passive exhalation. You're doing really well. Stay with your breaths. Keep breathing. And again, notice the cycle of inhale and exhale as you continue breathing this way. In and out. And as you breathe this way, your mouth might be getting dry at first. But trust me, after a few moments, you will settle into this sensation. In and out. In and out. Keep breathing. Notice the tingling in your hands and your fingertips. The sensations building up. 3 more breaths. And now long and deep breath in, in. Hold the breath on top of your lungs. Hold, hold. And now gently sigh it out. And hold your breath after the exhalation. And notice that you don't need to breathe. In this calm moment of stillness. And now we take a long and deep breath in. In. Hold the breath. Hold. Relax your shoulders, your chest. Hold. And now audibly sigh it out. Very good. And once again, we go back into these deep breaths. In and out. In and out. Again, finding the cycle of the breath where inhale follows exhale. And exhale follows inhale. In and out. Long breaths. Long inhales. And relaxed exhales. In and out. How much can you let go? How much can you release with those exhalations? Every time settling deeper and deeper with the out breath. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Long breaths. Three, two, one. And long and deep inhale all the way in. Hold, hold, hold. Relax your shoulders, chest. And now gently sigh it out. And hold your breath. And notice again that you don't need to breathe. This moment of stillness that you have created for yourself. And now we take a long and deep inhale. In, hold. Hold, relax your shoulders, your chest. Hold, hold, and audibly sigh it out. Very good. And we go back to long and deep breaths. In and out. Finding this rhythm of inhale and exhale, flowing one after another. In and out. Keep breathing. You're doing really well. Stay with your breath. Three, two, one. And now long and deep inhale. In. Hold your breath. Hold, hold. Relax your shoulders, your chest. Hold, hold. And gently sigh it out. And hold your breath. And again, this absolute stillness that you have created. With nothing to do and nowhere to be. And now take a long and deep breath in. In, filling up your lungs. Hold your breath. Hold, hold, hold. And now we'll slowly exhale through the nose for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Allow your breaths to settle down. Returning back Easy, gentle flow. And notice the quality of your breath, the quality of your state, the quality of your awareness. And now take a long and deep breath in. And gentle sigh out. Once again. And sigh it out. And the last one. And release. Bring some movements into your hands and your feet. Roll your ankles, your wrists. With your eyes closed, take a stretch up above you and slowly roll over to your right hand side. So take a moment to lay down on your right side. When you're ready, you can slowly start coming back up, coming seated. How are you guys feeling? Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.